Hey everybody, welcome to season 6, episode 3 of Javier in the Air. Welcome back for those of you who have been here before, or those of you who have not. Welcome to the first time of watching a fantastic show, My Little Corner of the Internet. So have a good show for you today. Gonna have our normal Trash in the Hood. We're gonna have our Zen Moment, AI generated. Perhaps even have a poem with it this time. I know it's been a while since we've had Jay Anderson on here writing a poem, but I think he's going to do one today. Also going to be our special, another bread that I did. If you watched last time, I did a cinnamon chocolate bread for the stout beer tasting, or the dark beer tasting, I should say, and turned out fantastic. And I have another fantastic bread for you this time. We're going to do a spirit time with a special beer. No, actually, I think it's going to be a wine today, so I'll see if I can find a wine that I haven't done on the show. If not, we'll go back to our beer. And then at the very end, going to have a prediction for tonight's Super Bowl. Not going to watch it. Not going to watch the halftime show. Maybe watch the commercials at some point, and we'll go more into that before we do the prediction. But special prediction along with the points prediction. And if I get it right, somebody can throw money at me, I guess. I don't know. This is a free show anyway, so not like anybody. I'm sponsored by anyone, so I'm just going to do it and see what comes out of it. So here we go. Let's go ahead and start with our Trash in the Hood. Dark Frog Social Media presents Trash in the Hood, weeks 130 and 131. Hey everybody. So this is week 130, day 1, and you notice there's a lot of weird stuff on there. Looks like a food tray. It's not a frisbee, but it's like a food dish or something that's in the shape of a bunny. It had food in it, so I brushed it off and took it. A lot of plastic bags, food wrappers, beverage containers, fried containers, plastic beverage cups, a vape pen of some sort. I hadn't seen it before. Very interesting. And the normal cigarette butts, actually a lot this time. This was day 2, so continuing in the opposite direction of day 1 as far as walking goes. This time liquor bottles, entire food bags, to-go bags full of empty containers, candy wrappers, Gatorade bottles. Not a lot of cigarette butts on this road, but still quite a bit. So it was really interesting what I found there. Underneath it all are some cardboard and some larger pieces of plastic. There was some styrofoam, but I went ahead and threw that out as well. This is week 131, day 1. You notice found a little over 100 cigarette butts, liquor bottles, and again, day 1 is usually like this. Gloves, latex gloves, like cold gear gloves, lots of plastic, lots of paper. I guess over the weekend, a lot of people just get stupid on where they put their trash, and I guess a lot of people are also smoking on the weekends. This is coming up here. You're going to see day 5. There it is, day 5. So day 5 had some like a tobacco, one of those tobacco pouches container at the top right, some kind of weird vape pen, but just the plastic part of it. The normal cigarette butts and a lot of plastic. Now this time I did go, this is day 5, so I did go up and down 620, so maybe that's why I had so much plastic on there, but it was very interesting that I had so much plastic picking up. So, but that's what you do when you're picking up trash in the hood. And there you have it, Trash in the Hood. So for those of you who may not have done your math, last week was week 130. 130 is 2.5 years. So I have been picking up trash and showing everybody the trash, whether it's gross or not, on Nextdoor and on my show here, Javier In The Air, for the past 130 weeks. So 130 weeks equals roughly, or in my, the way I figured it, it's 2.5 years. So 2.5 years of getting out there and walking, which has really helped my health. And I really highly suggest that if you're not doing any other form of exercise, you at least get out there and get some walking in. So some walking and picking up trash. And I've been doing that for 131 weeks now. So last week was 130, this past week was 131, and so 2.5 years plus 1 week. And I will try to keep going as well as I can, as long as my health keeps up, and my health is keeping up because I'm walking more. I have slacked off a little bit on the other exercise, but I also recommend you do light weights and walking and getting up off the floor. For those of you who may not be doing a lot of exercise, I highly recommend sitting down on the floor and then getting up off the floor. Do that once or twice a day for the rest of your life. And I'm not even joking on that, the rest of your life, because how many times have we heard of people falling to the floor over a certain age and then not having the strength to get up off the floor? So if you are having difficulty, start by being close to a chair or a couch or having somebody there to watch you. Lay on the floor and then try to get up off the floor without reaching for a chair or a couch or anything like that. Now, you can still use your hands to push up off of the floor. I also recommend rolling onto your stomach, and if you have the strength, rolling onto your stomach, pushing up until you can get onto your knees, and then step up. If you have horrible knees like I do it quick. Or if you have really horrible knees, don't do it that way. Find another way to get off the floor. But start doing that once or twice once or twice a day, and then you start building up strength. Because the last thing you want to do is be like myself, someone who lives alone, falls and hits the ground, is flat on the ground, and does not have the power to get up off the floor. So we need to make sure that everybody can do that. So please tell your friends and family and your loved ones, if they are not exercising like most of my family does, then they need to do something minimal like that. Walking, trying to get up off the floor twice a day. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now, but carefully because my knees are shot. And let's go now to our Zen moment. Once again, a little backstory on this. For the past couple of months, I have been really relying on AI-generated artwork that you have seen in some of the screenshots that you're seeing in my Zen moment. Sometimes the music AI is generated, sometimes it's not. Just depends on what I find or what I have already available to myself. And so I will put that in the background. And sometimes Jay Anderson is nice enough to drop a little poetry words on us, and let's see if I can get him to do it again today. So let's go to our Zen moment. I was walking along a park that had seen better days. Years of neglect by the people who used the park had left it littered with trash, and the grass only growing in patches. Rusty swings, used rarely now, fluttered in the stiff breeze that brought smells of decay and refuse. I looked and saw only the ugliness. Further on, I saw a man on the park bench crying. He had a sign on his lap and it read, "I'm being given the gift of hearing tomorrow, and I'm afraid most of the sounds I hear will be the sounds of violence and hatred." I nodded my head and moved on. I came across another park bench, this time with a woman sitting on it, crying. She had a sign on her lap as well, and it read, "I'm being given the gift of speech tomorrow, and I'm afraid that I have nothing to say to help end violence and hatred in the world." I once again nodded my head and moved on. Finally, I came across a third bench, and there was a young man and woman who were obviously blind, crying. I stopped and asked them, "Why are you crying?" He replied, "We're being given the gift of sight tomorrow, and we're crying for we feel most of the images we see will be horrible and filled with hatred and violence that we have heard about our whole lives, and not the beautiful images we have created in our mind." I shook my head and sat beside them on the park bench throughout the rest of the day and into the night. As the sun began to rise, I watched as they took off their glasses and blinked in the new day. They looked around and saw each other. They began to cry again, but this time with happiness. They hugged each other and then hugged me too. I smiled at them. kissed them both on the forehead, and moved on. And as I left that park, I looked around and saw the world as they saw it, new and filled with beauty. And I cried. Well, there you have it. A little bit dark and foreboding from Jay Anderson, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Kind of goes with the way the weather is right now here in Cedar Park, which is a little dark and overcast. Was misting this morning, brightened up for a bit. Looks like it's getting dark again. So there you have our Zen moment. I hope you liked some or all of the images that were AI generated. The music was not. I tried to find something that would be worth it and tried to generate some myself, but the AI is still lacking. It's not getting what I'm trying to throw down, and everything was upbeat no matter what I put in there. I put in sad, melancholy, slow music, tempo slow, still came out like a pop music song. So I just threw all that away and decided to go with what I could find on my computer, which I did find. So there you go. All right, so now before we go into our spirit time, which I still haven't I still need to look and see what I can get for us on that one. I'm going to take you through a recipe that I found online. So last episode I showed you during our dark beer tasting that we had that I made a nice cinnamon chocolate bread that was I would say probably 97 to 99%. I know I keep moving it up, but 97 to 99% accurate as far as what Starbucks used to make, called cinnamon chocolate bread. So it was a cinnamon chocolate bread that in the brief 6-8 months that I worked there as a barista, as a part-time job because I needed to, but it was great fun anyway. They had cinnamon chocolate bread, and it was absolutely fantastic. It just blew my mind on how good it was. And then I noticed after a couple years, it had been a while since I had been to a Starbucks, because I like to visit mom and pop locations now, that they didn't have the cinnamon chocolate bread anymore. And in fact, the person behind the counter and the barista there had no idea what I was even talking about. So it must be a while that it's been on the menu. Anyway, I made it last time. Turned out fantastic, 97 to 99% accurate. Gave it to neighbors, they loved it. Gave it to friends, they loved it. And so that's going to be now in my repertoire of go-to breads to go to when I want to impress the crowd. Well, talk about impressing the crowd. So fast forward another week or so, and I had some mandarin oranges that had been there for a while, still good. Not moldy or nasty or anything like that, but I was tired of eating mandarin oranges because I bought a little bit too much. So I was trying to figure out what to do with the oranges before they went bad. Well, I found a recipe for something called a quick orange bread. So I'm going to show you the bread along with the recipe, and we'll go from there. So here, check it out. All right, so here we go. Sorry about the right-hand side with the recipe. It's a little off, so I'll talk your way through it. On the left is the finished product, and as you see, there's bits of orange in there, which were really nice. That includes the rind. So what you want to do is preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Then you want to take in a blender, you want to take a whole orange, and I mean a whole orange, so that's rind and all. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't have an orange, so I actually used 2 mandarins for what they would consider one whole orange. And I blended that in. Now, as you see in the preparation, it says do it all at once, but I figured, and I found it best that I added the orange and then some of the dry ingredients and some of the wet back and forth until I got a full blend. So you want to take that, 1.5 cups of sugar, which I cut because I found it to be a little bit too sweet, and I'm trying to cut sugar everywhere, so I went with about 3/4 of a cup. 3 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 cups of flour, a 1/2 cup of olive oil, which I found interesting, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, and a 1/2 cup of water. I found using warm water is always best, unless it tells you that it doesn't that it wants cold water. I always found warm water works out great. So I went back and forth, started with the oranges, and then I started adding the dry flour, and then started adding the eggs and the vanilla and so on. I went back and forth until I got a nice batter. Then what I did, why it looks a little weird to you, on if you're thinking why isn't this orange color, it's because I added blue curacao to it to give it a little bit more orangey and a little bit of the alcohol taste to it, and so made it green. So anyway, you throw that into the oven for about 50 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean. And I mean clean. So these are going to rise accordingly like you would for any bread. So be sure you have a long enough toothpick that you're able to get to the dead center of the loaf. You don't want to just hit the top and say, hey, it's done, and then find out later on it's all manky in the middle. So once you do that, pull it out, let it rest for a bit to kind of cool off. Then and besides, it's a loaf pan, by the way. I guess you could do it in any other pan, but a loaf pan is best. Let it cool for a bit, and then if you greased your pan correctly, which I did because I thought about it, and the ingredients didn't say, and the prep didn't say, then you can go ahead and upend it and get it out of the loaf pan. Flip it back on top, and cut yourself a big old honking slice of it. So I myself found it just perfect right out of the oven, just like that. Some people added butter to it, and I don't know if anybody else added anything else to it, but it was just either butter or plain, and it turned out super fantastic. So I hope you will try it. Let me know if you do, and let me know how it goes. And there you have it, a quick orange bread. So I think pulling all the ingredients together, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. Preparation was that, plus if you grease the pans, a couple of minutes more, so nothing major. And if you bake from time to time like I do, you should have all the ingredients ready to go in your pantry. If not, then prepare and by getting the ingredients that you want. And then, like I said, if it's 50 minutes at 375. However, I found my oven does some hit or miss sometimes. So I usually put it for 5 minutes less than what it says, and I wind up going over. I'm a little OCD when it comes to that, so I always set it for 5 minutes less, and then I add the 5 minutes back and see where it's at, and then I go a little bit longer. So for this one, I actually did a double batch. So I had the 4 mandarins and all that, and like I said, I cut the sugar, and it doesn't tell you to rest or anything. There's no yeast in there, so it's not rising because of yeast. It's rising simply because it's of the flour and the sugar and everything in there that you would for a quick bread. Quick breads normally don't have yeast, and you don't let it sit and rest for a while. You're not expecting it to rise like that. So, but I did a double batch, like I said, so I wound up actually with 3 loaves. 2 what I would consider an average size like you saw in the picture, and then 1 just a little bit less. So I sliced up as much as I could and took it to work, gave it to the guys there. They loved it. Gave some to the neighbors. They loved it as well, and I'm not just tooting my own horn here, but they loved it. And then slowly but surely, over the span of the past week, I would eat a slice here and a slice there, and now everything is gone. So, which is good, because I am going to my doctor on Wednesday, and I need to be a good fellow for the next couple of days. Anyway, so one of the thoughts that some people had, can you add a different type of citrus? Sure you can. Try whatever citrus you like. I was thinking of maybe eventually doing this again here in a couple months and adding a lime with the orange. Like maybe use a whole orange this time and then go with a lime. Key lime might even be better, don't know. But do whatever works for you as far as the citrus go. And do you want to do it other than citrus, I was asked? I don't know. You can certainly try it. I don't know if the citrus itself is adding to the rising of the bread. I don't think it is, because it's just citrus and it doesn't make sense scientifically why it would. But also try to get the equivalent that they say in the ingredients. So the recipes are very important. And I just heard something from, a famous cook out there, chef out there, who said it's very important to read the ingredients, and it is. So if you want to monkey around with the citrus, you certainly can. However, I wouldn't go for more. Like, for example, I wouldn't add 2 oranges in there for 1 loaf, because it might be too much liquid, or it might be too dry because you're putting a whole orange in there. So you don't want to do an entire, 2 oranges of rind in there, because it may be too chunky if you don't have the right blender, or that it doesn't liquefy most of it, or it might dry it out because it's pulling too much water out of the bread itself. So I would stick to the ingredients, but then if you want to add, like I said, if you want to do a whole orange and add another citrus, maybe cut some of the orange off or not. Or life is about experimentation, isn't it? So then add it both and see what happens. If it turns out manky, then you just give it to your kids and they won't know. And don't give it to your neighbors or friends. But if it turns out fantastic, then you go ahead and give it to your neighbors and friends. So that's where we are with that. So certainly trial and error, do what you want. It's just a recipe I found on the internet, and there you go. So, but it turned out good for me. So that was really nice. Okay, we are done with the bread for today. Now we're going to go ahead and go to our spirit time. Let's see what I found. Dark Frog Social Media presents Spirit Time. This week, Fair Isle, Madame Argall. Hey everybody, so I have my glasses on so I can read this for us, plus I'm going to need light so I can read it. So this is for Fair Isle Brewing Company out of Seattle, Washington. So hey, thank you for that. This is, we paid for this, by the way. It's not a sponsorship. Brother Rob probably left it in my fridge, and I'm going to drink it. So this is what he gets. I'm not a big fan of Saisons, he is, but I'm going to drink it anyway. So this is Fair Isle, Madame Argall, so you can see that right there. And I'm going to read this so that I can take my glasses off. So it says, Madame Argall is inspired by our favorite Wallonian Saisons along the Franco-Belgian border. In 1975, in the space our tasting room now calls home, the Brown Bulb Ranch operated a bulb warehouse, specializing in Belgian begonias. Interesting. Including the Madame Argall variety. So, created with ingredients farmed in the Pacific Northwest, fermented with our house blend of wild and feral yeasts and bacteria, brewed and bottled by Fair Isle out of Seattle, Washington. So this is batch number 5, and this is 6.2 ABV. So 6.2 ABV, I can go ahead and turn off that light, and I can go back without the glasses on. So Saison, if you're not familiar with, very interesting flavor. Normally more on the sour side than not. Depends on the Saison you drink, mostly sour. If you're in the Austin Cedar Park area, places like Jester House Brewery will have Saisons readily available, and you can just drink. They have their own, in fact. Again, I don't work for Jester Brewery. They don't sponsor me, unfortunately. This is still a free show. And why I keep saying that is because every now and then I get tagged saying, hey, is this a show that's being sponsored? And the answer is no. If you'd like to sponsor me, please let me know. Anyway, here we go. Gonna open this puppy up and see what we get. This is an interesting bottle opener I have. There we go. So in case you'd like to see it, let me flip it so you can see it. Yes, it does say cheers. Cheers. And I don't mean to show. So very interesting. Wasn't easy to open though, which is why I rarely use it, but I do like it. Okay, so here we go. Got my tasting beer glass out there. This is more than a glass worth, so I'm going to pour what I can. And let's take a look and see. Really nice hypiness to it, though I did get a hint of banana, which is very interesting. I don't know, it's because I ate a banana about 2 hours ago, and this has somehow been permeated, or my nasal passages still have banana flavoroids in there. I don't think it does. But that's what I smelled. Now I smell just the hops, mostly hops. Really nice, nothing too sweet, no citrus or anything like that to it. So let's see how it tastes. Definitely on the sour side. Not too bad. I've had some that were sourer, or more sour, I should say. Um, Not too bad though. Uh, Pretty good on the refreshing side. Not too bitter. Not, like I said, sour, but sour doesn't necessarily mean bitter, and vice versa. So not bad. Let me have some more. This is really good. I could see this with something salty, maybe something savory, like if you're having bar peanuts, which I know is almost unheard of nowadays. But if you can find a place that has bar peanuts without charging you $17.50 for a charcuterie or anything like that, then it would be nice. Now, if you have a bunch of friends and you're drinking Saison, maybe you might want to go with a charcuterie. But that's up to you. That's if you want to go fancy. So really good. Again, on the sour side, as it's meant to be, because it is a Saison, and but it's not bad at all. I could see myself drinking this as a starter. Again, 6.2 ABV. Starter for the day. Just go to a brewery and do it. Don't worry, Ma. We're not pounding these down every day. A nice starter. Good palate cleanser for when you move over more to the heavier drinks. You always want to start lighter and move heavier if you're going to look and talk about tastes. If you're just there to like slam them down, or you're just there to have one or two beers, then you can have this one whenever. So I would definitely recommend the Fair Isle, Madame Argall. And I'm going to go ahead and give this one 6 thumbs up. That's 6 thumbs up for the Fair Isle Brewing Company out of Seattle, Washington. And Fair Isle, if you don't like my 6 thumbs up and you want to have a discussion about it or an argument, it's up to you. Feel free to reach out to me on my show, Javier In The Air, and I can have you on the show, and we can talk about whether my grading is wrong and why it would be wrong, and we can talk more about your brewery, and we can talk more about everything. So I welcome you to be on the show. I welcome your opinion of my opinion, and then your opinion. So there you have it. Saison, Madame Argall, and I hope I'm saying that right, which I think I am, and Fair Isle. Thanks a lot, everyone. And there you have it, everyone. So, another episode down, 3 episodes into 2025. I thank you for watching. For those of you who have just come to my show and found it, welcome. Hope you enjoyed it. For all of you, please let me know if you have any thoughts, opinions, comments, suggestions on what you might like to see on the show. I'd love to expand my repertoire of what I have on here, my skill set, and all that. And so would love to try some new things. Like I said, I'm going to try to start doing more outings. This is the year for me to try to do that. Get out there, explore the world more, explore the people more, and see what's out there. I have something that I'm thinking about doing, and we'll see if I can get to it or not by the next show. If not, then we'll worry about that another time. So let me know if you would like to be on the show for any reason. Remember, if you're passionate about something, except for the 2 that we don't put on the show, then I'd love to have you on the show. If you'd like to be a co-host for an episode or 2, we can talk topics, except for those 2, and see what we want to talk about, see what comes up. I'm always willing to talk about movies that focus on beers, beer-themed movies. Just so we can add something different to the show itself. If not, we can also maybe do something more thematic other than just beer, and go and talk about that as well. We can talk about food, whatever you want to do. I'm up for it. Just let me know, and we can schedule some time. Let me know. From time to time, I may reach out to people, but if you're really interested, the best way to do it is to reach out to me here on my show. Tag me, Javier In The Air 01, or if you have me on Facebook or Instagram, then you can reach out to me that way as well. But it's easier if you reach out to me, because then I know you have interest, and I don't want to just reach out to people and they're like, why are you even calling me? I'd rather that I know you have interest because you've reached out first, in that regards. So, all right, so probably a little bit over 30 minutes now, but I'm trying to keep it around that time so that keeps everybody's interest. I hope you have a good start to your week, which today is, depending for some people. Mine starts tomorrow. And it's going to get cold again for those of you in the United States for most areas. So be sure and stay warm and keep your plants warm if you can. Otherwise, I will talk to everybody next time. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good one.